We're going to back up and continue on slopes today. A reminder that we talked about slope being identified as an M, and then we have a slope formula. These are just reviews. We'll use this formula again in just a little bit, but what I want to do now is remind you of the 4 types of slopes that we talked about before, and then we're going to talk about some particular slopes. So if we started at the bottom, if it started low and went high, this is a positive slope. If we started high and came low, if the line started high and went low, it was a negative slope. We found out that if it was a horizontal slope, it was a 0 slope, and a vertical slope has a no slope. The GED will probably call it an undefined slope. This is all review. Now we're going to talk about 2 particular sets of slopes, a parallel slope and perpendicular slopes. 2 lines that have a parallel slope I'll just tell you. My brain and my mouth aren't working together today. Parallel slopes. Like parallel lines. And parallel lines, slopes are equal. This is important for you to remember. In parallel lines, the slopes are equal. Perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines. Slopes are flipped, I'll explain, and opposite sides. Perpendicular lines look like this. They cross at a 90-degree angle. Parallel lines look like this. And they never intersect at all. Okay, so get this down in your notes because I want to write some stuff and I'm going to have to erase it, but I want you to have it where you can look at. So here's an example. Let's say we have a line and we have another line that's going to be graphed on the same graph. These are 2 lines that I will graph on the same graph, okay? We learned that if the line was, if this equation is solved for y, then where is the slope? Where's the slope in the equation?
It's in front of that.
It's in front of the x. So the slope of this line, if it was graphed, is 1/2, right? What's the slope of this line? 1/2. So what does that tell you without graphing these lines, without actually putting them on a graph? What does it tell you about these two lines? They're going to be parallel lines because their slopes are exactly the same. This is how you know. Okay. Now remember, you have to solve for y. You have to solve for y before you can see what the slopes are. But if you see slopes that are exactly the same in two different lines, you know those lines are going to be parallel. Okay? Easy enough? Let's do another example over here. Let's say you have y equals negative 2/5 x plus 1. And you have another line that we're going to graph on the same graph, or assuming that we will. And it is 5 halves x. The y-intercept can be anywhere. We're looking at the slopes. So notice that the slope on the first line is a negative 2/5. Y'all see? Now, as you look at the other slope, it has to have two things. It has to have the opposite sign. Whatever this was, this has to be the other sign. And the fraction has to be flipped, or the reciprocal. Do y'all see? That means if I graphed these two lines on that graph, they would be perpendicular to each other. They would cross each other, and where they cross, it would be a 90-degree angle. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Does it make sort of sense? I'm just waiting because I want to make sure that you start to soak it in. Now I'll be coming back to same slopes or parallel lines, opposite signs, and flipped fraction in the slope is a perpendicular. They're perpendicular to each other. Okay? I'm going to have to erase this, so let me know you have it all. Doris, you doing okay?
Yes, ma'am, I'm doing okay.
Okay. Shanique was on her way. I'm going to let her screenshot this. Shaniqua, good morning. Let me see if she's here yet. No microphone yet. Okay. So now I will be coming back to this, so make sure it's where you can look at. Now we're going to review writing equations of lines because I'm going to pull these two things together. Okay, usually your instructions for this next thing will sound like this. Write the equation of a line, that. And then they'll give you information that you're going to use in trying to write the equation of a line. But if you will remember from that lesson, write the equation of a line, we always use this formula. Y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1. Should look familiar, yes? So anytime that your instructions say, write the equation of a line, you're going to refer to this formula, this equation. Pretty sure it's on your formula chart. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that passes through. English teachers put me here. The point -2 and has a slope of, let's go 1/2. Negative, no. Let's just do -5/2. Okay? And has a slope of -5. So let's say this is the problem that they give you on the GED. And we've got to figure this out. I have to write the equation of a line using this information. Okay. Hi, Shaniqua.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You sound tired. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'll be all right.
Okay. So this is all the information they give me, but I know if they told me to write the equation of a line, I'm going to use this formula, which means I need some X's and Y's. And we know we get the X's and Y's right out of here, out of our point. We have X and Y. I'm going to go ahead and call those ones. We don't have any twos in here, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so now we're just going to copy this piece by piece, but we're going to substitute values where we need to. Reminder, this Y that doesn't have a number on it stays a letter when we use this formula. So we have Y minus, now what is Y1?
2, -2.
-2. And then it says to write an equals. It says put the slope in right here. -5/2. This one stays a letter. X minus, and what's X1? 5, good. And now all we have to do is the math. We can go ahead and change this to a plus because when you have those two minuses together, they make a plus. But before we can do anything else, we have to take care of these parentheses. So we're going to do the distributive property. Everybody can see, right? And so we have Y plus 2 equals, this is an invisible 1, so -5/2 times 1 is -5 halves X. Then I have a negative times a negative. So I'm going to have a positive. This is the same as over 1. So I have 25 over 2. Any questions on how far I got so far? Any questions are fine. You okay, Mary? Okay. Okay, and we want the Y by itself because we're giving the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So I know that I have to subtract 2 to get the Y by itself. I'm going to subtract 2 here. That's when you're really glad that you have your calculator. You're welcome to use your calculator. Those of you that like to do it by hand, this will be, you'll find common denominators. And this should become 21 over 2. -5 halves X And although it's not very pretty with all those fractions in there, this is the correct answer. I see some possible questions. Or you're just writing it down and look at it again in a while. Probably. But you're not like, okay. Hey, any questions on this one? Because the next one, I'm going to use the words parallel and perpendicular and show you how to write the equation of those lines. Everybody okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, again, I'm making these up, so they may come out ugly with all those fractions, but it's okay because you'll know how to do it. Okay, here's a possibility of a problem that they will give you. Write the equation of a line, so we know we're going to use that passes through the point. We'll just make it 1, 3, and is parallel to the line okay. So get this one down. This one's new to you, but you'll be surprised how easy it is. Promise. Write the equation of a line that passes through this point, so we know this is X and Y. And is parallel. What did we find out about parallel?
It has to be the same.
Same slope, right?
Yes.
Okay, so sometimes this looks like you're supposed to do a whole bunch of stuff down here. But all we need to write the equation of a line is a point that it's going through and a slope, right? That's all we need is a point that is going through and a slope to write this equation of a line. Well, if we know that the line that we're supposed to write the equation for has the parallel slope to this line, then all I need to know about this much of the problem is this slope. That's all I need to know. I don't care about anything else here. And when I find out what the slope is to this line, then I know I'm going to use the same slope. Okay, because it's parallel. So I have this point and I have this slope. When I pulled the slope out of this information, I don't need any of that anymore. All I needed from here was the slope. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing, and I think we deserve the practice. So we're going to put our information in here. Y minus, here's Y1, equals, and we found out the slope we need to use for this problem is 4/5. X minus whatever X1 is. Again, in order to solve this for Y, we have to take care of the parentheses first. It's an invisible 1. So now we have 4/5 X minus 4/5. On this side, we have Y minus 3. If I'm going to solve this equation for Y, I have to add 3 and add 3. So now I have y equals 4/5 x 2, so plus 11/3. If you do this on your calculator, you should get 11/3. Okay? This is the equation of a line that goes through this point and is parallel. Notice that the 4/5 x here was the slope. 4/5 here is the slope. Yeah? So they are parallel. Did you give up? You're not taking notes?
It's easier for me to do it like one-on-one. It's easier for me.
I'll just talk to you later. Are we okay with this? Sort of? It's going to take some practice, yes?
Yes.
Remember, we're writing the equation of line, so we always use that formula. It tells us the points, the x1 and y1. And then this stuff down here, all I need out of here is the slope that I need to use. So let's do one with the perpendicular slope. And let's get a different. -2, 1 is what we'll use, and is perpendicular . Okay, so the point this line is going to go through is the -2, 1. That's what we're going to use for our x and y's. Thank you. The point that it goes through, that's what we're going to use for our x1, y1. And then we see something a little different down here. It says perpendicular. So what I have to do when I'm looking for perpendicular to this line is all I care about is the slope. Now for my problem, I can't use slope as 1/3 because that would make the lines parallel and I need to make them perpendicular. What did we find out about perpendicular slopes?
That they
They flip and
they're opposite.
opposite what?
Opposite signs.
Good, opposite signs. So let's flip this. So I'm going to say the slope I want to use because it's perpendicular is 3/1. And it has to be the opposite sign. This is plus, so I'm going to have a -3/1, and that's the slope I'm going to use in this problem. Now that I have the slope, I don't have to use this for anything else. That 4 is nothing, okay? This is all I have to use. I need to pick out the perpendicular slope, and I'm done. So let's go over here and work the problem again.
Is it y equals, well, never mind, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Y minus?
Yeah, y minus 3/1 x
No.
-2,
Right here.
y1,
Y minus
1.
equals, now tell me what I'm plugging in for slope.
3/1.
A -3/1. And in this particular place, you can use this as just -3. You know, anything over 1 is itself. So -3 times x minus
negative 2.
-2. Let's make this a plus already. If I'm going to solve for y, I need to take care of my parentheses first. I have a negative 3x. Negative times a positive
Oh, it's 5?
times equals y minus 1. I want to solve for the y.
Bring down the 1.
So I'm going to add 1 and add 1.
And because the 6 is greater than -3, is that right?
Yes, that's good because the signs are different. I'm minusing. So I had negative 3x minus 5. This is the equation of a line that if I put it on the graph would be exactly perpendicular to this line I scribbled out. Everybody's kind of quiet. What do y'all think online?
Can we do one more?
One more. Does it matter perpendicular or parallel?
Parallel.
How about one of each?
Yeah, because that perpendicular look good, but
That would be perfect.
I have a question.
Yes,
For the perpendicular,
perpendicular.
is it always going to be a fraction?
No.
No.
How about we do one of those? Okay.
It's just the slope, like we have to
Flip
split it.
Mhm.
And so that's why I was asking, will it always be a fraction?
That is a very good question, and that is why I will show you this one. That's a very good thing to do here. So let's do. Okay, got the equation of a line, so we use that. That passes through this point, so I know this is my x and y ones. And okay. So we know that all we need is 1 point and a slope in order to write the equation of a line. That's all I need. But they threw in this word, perpendicular to this line. Now I don't care about the whole line. All I care about is the slope. I need a slope that is perpendicular to this. I need a slope that's perpendicular to this. So what would a perpendicular slope look like?
2x?
One what?
Huh?
1/2. You're exactly right. Because if they don't give you a fraction here, you need to make it a fraction so you can flip it. If you flip this, it's going to become 1/2. And then we also, for a perpendicular slope, we also have to have the opposite sign. So it's no longer negative, but it is a positive 1/2. Does that answer your question, Brandy? Whenever it's just a whole number, put it over 1 so that you can flip it. Okay, easy enough. And let's finish this out. So this is the slope we're going to use. I don't have to do any of this.
Can I tell, can I,
You sure can.
okay, y minus -4 equals 2/1.
Y minus -4 equals
2 over 1. 1 over 2.
No.
1 over 2,
Parentheses, x negative 0.
minus 0. Very nice. You want to finish it?
I'm gonna put the 1 in front of the x, the invisible 1. So 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/2.
1/2 x
And then it's 1/2 again. 0.
minus 0. And on this other side, it's y
4. Negative 4. Oh, 4
plus 4.
plus 4.
Good.
Then you're gonna bring down you're gonna bring down 4, and you're gonna make it a negative, and you're gonna put it under the 0.
Feeling good,
And
aren't
then
you?
it's gonna be y 1/2 x 4, negative 4.
Ding, ding, ding. Congratulations. This is the equation of a line that goes through this point and is perpendicular to this line. And they're perpendicular only because the slopes are flipped and change the sign. Is this helping, Shaniqua?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's do a parallel and call it good. And then I told the students in class, they're going to have a little quiz on negatives and positives. So we're going to do that while I find the pages that you need to work on this. And I will email those to you as soon as I find those.
Yes,
Sound good?
ma'am.
All right. So let's do one more. Now watch closely because I'm going to throw a little, whatever you know, a wrench into this, okay? To the line. Okay, so, I'll probably have to do this, right? Let's do one. That'll be it. Just making it up. Okay, so we know this is our x1 and y1. We know that we need the same slope because it says parallel. So what is the slope that we're going to use?
3.
Think carefully.
3.
Think very carefully because I threw almost. Is this solve for y?
No.
You can't find the slope. You can't find the slope in this equation right here that we need to use until you solve this for y. Then we can find that slope that we need. So we're going to subtract this 3x. We need to solve for y. And so we have 4y equals 24 minus 3x. And I want the y by itself. We're almost doing it. So I have to divide by 4. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here, if that won't mess y'all up. So now I have y equals 24 divided by 4 is 6 minus 4x. Now what I did, it says that this line that I'm writing the equation for has to be parallel to this line. And we know that parallel slopes are the same, right? So I looked in this equation to find the parallel slope, but I can't find the slope. It's not 3. I can't find the slope until the equation,
It's -3
It-
over 4.
yes, until the equation is solved for y. I just put it up here because I ran out of room. So now, yes, Brandy, what is the slope now? Negative. So -3/4 is what we're going to use, because that's the slope in this line. It has to be parallel to this, and so it has to be the same slope. So I know now that in my formula, I need to use the slope as -3/4. Do you understand why it wasn't 3? Is everybody okay understanding why I didn't 3? Do you understand why the slope wasn't 3? Because it
Where
has,
the y was?
it just has to be solved for y. This isn't, y isn't by itself yet. You cannot find the slope until y is by itself. So, and now I don't need any of this. All I needed out of here was the slope. So I'm going to start writing my formula. Y minus, what's y1?
Y1?
What's y1?
-8.
-8. Y'all asleep?
-8.
Halfway.
Halfway.
Yes,
Nine.
ma'am.
1. This is going to be a plus because it's 2 negatives together. I want to solve for y, but I have to do this first.
So it's gonna be -3/4 again.
-3/4 x.
Minus.
Negative times a negative is negative times a negative,
Is a positive.
positive
Positive.
y plus 8. And I want the y by itself.
Put the 8 down.
So
Minus
divide by 8.
on the other side.
Divide by 8.
2, so negative 29/4, I think. -3/4 x equals
Y.
this part. You can either get by using scrap paper to find common denominators or just use your calculator. You put 3/4 minus 8 and it'll give you this. That's where I'm getting this part. Any questions? Okay, for today, that's it. I want you to continue to work on your negatives and positives. I sent a large packet that you should practice every day. Get those negatives and positives taken care of. Okay. But as far as that, I will be sending you those worksheets in just a little bit, as soon as I hand out this little quiz that my students are going to take. Can you what?
Okay.
How about after the quiz? It's only about 10 minutes. Okay.